Welcome to Professor Explain 101, where we take the ordinary and uncover the extraordinary psychology beneath it. Today's question might be one of the most important ever asked. Why do humans believe things that aren't true? Every civilization ever built was built on belief. Every religion, every political system, every social movement all began with an idea that people agreed to treat as truth. But here's the strange part. Many of those ideas weren't actually true. So why do we cling to them? Why do people defend falsehoods with their lives? And why, even when confronted with evidence, do our minds still hold on to lies? This journey takes us deep into the mind, into the places where truth, emotion, and identity collide. Let's begin. Section 1. What belief really is. Belief is the lens through which we see the world. It's not a statement about reality. It's a story our brain tells to make sense of chaos. From childhood, we begin to form beliefs about who we are, how the world works, and what's right or wrong. We don't even notice it happening. A parent says something, a teacher repeats it, a community reinforces it, and slowly it becomes part of the invisible structure of our mind. Belief acts as a compass. It simplifies the overwhelming noise of reality. It gives direction, purpose, and identity. But this compass isn't always accurate. It points not toward truth, but toward comfort. Because humans don't seek truth first. They seek stability. They seek meaning. And meaning often matters more than accuracy. That's the first paradox of belief. We believe not to know, but to belong. Section 2. The brain's shortcuts. Our brains are efficient machines, but they cut corners. Every second, you're bombarded by millions of sensory inputs. If your brain processed them all, you'd freeze. So it uses shortcuts, patterns, assumptions, habits to make quick decisions. Psychologists call these shortcuts cognitive biases. They're like invisible filters that distort how we see truth. Let's look at a few of the most powerful ones. Confirmation bias. We search for evidence that supports what we already believe and reject what contradicts it. If you think all politicians are corrupt, you'll notice every scandal and ignore every act of integrity. Anchoring bias. The first piece of information we hear about something shapes how we interpret everything else. That's why first impressions are so powerful, and why propaganda always strikes first. Availability heuristic. If something is easy to recall, we assume it must be common or true. Hear about 3 airplane crashes on the news, and suddenly you think flying is dangerous, even though statistically, it's the safest way to travel. The illusory truth effect. The more we hear something repeated, the more we believe it, even when it's false. Repetition turns fiction into familiarity, and familiarity feels like truth. These shortcuts evolved to help us survive, but they also make us vulnerable to manipulation, to misinformation, and to our own emotional needs. Section 3. The comfort of certainty. Uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable emotions humans feel. When we don't know, our brains activate the same stress response as if we were facing physical danger. So the mind does something clever. It creates certainty, even if it has to invent it. That's why we see patterns in random events, faces in clouds, and meaning in coincidences. Our brains hate ambiguity, and belief is the antidote. It tells us, this is why things happen. This is who's to blame. This is what's right. Certainty gives peace, and peace feels better than truth. This is why conspiracy theories feel comforting to some people. They make a complex world seem simple. Even when the story is dark, it's clear. A mind that believes it knows feels safer than a mind that admits it doesn't. Section 4. The storytelling animal. Humans don't just think, we narrate. We turn chaos into story. Our brains link cause and effect, build heroes and villains, and wrap random events in meaning. Anthropologists say this is what made civilization possible. Shared stories allowed large groups of strangers to cooperate, trust, and build societies. Money, religion, nations all exist because we believe they do. But stories are powerful precisely because they blur the line between fiction and reality. Once a story becomes sacred, it becomes invisible. We stop seeing it as a story at all. Every society lives inside its own myth, and every individual inside their own version of it. Section 5. How culture shapes truth. Culture defines what's true by defining what's acceptable to believe. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was divine. In medieval Europe, the earth was the center of creation. In modern society, we believe in progress, individuality, and science. Each of these systems feels obvious to the people who live inside them. Few ever stop to question them. Our beliefs are not independent thoughts. They're social agreements, codes of belonging. To challenge them means to risk isolation. That's why people often cling to cultural beliefs even when they no longer make sense. Because belonging feels safer than being right.
Section 6. The emotional brain. For centuries, we believed reason ruled the mind. But neuroscience tells a different story. Emotion decides first. Logic justifies after. Experiments show that before we make a moral or political decision, our emotional brain, the amygdala, fires milliseconds before our rational brain. That means we feel our beliefs before we think them. Belief, at its core, is emotional attachment dressed in intellectual language. When someone attacks your belief, your body reacts as if you're being attacked physically. Your heart rate rises, your brain releases stress hormones. You defend not because you've reasoned, but because you've been triggered. So when debates get heated, what's really happening isn't a clash of ideas, it's a collision of emotional identities. Section 7. Why facts don't change minds. This is why arguments so often fail. Facts are powerless against emotional identity. Studies on political persuasion show that presenting people with evidence against their beliefs often strengthens those beliefs. It's called the backfire effect. The brain doubles down to protect its worldview. When we say you're wrong, the mind hears you don't belong, and belonging is more important than truth. That's why change rarely begins with argument. It begins with empathy. People don't open their minds because you proved them wrong. They open their minds because they feel safe enough to doubt themselves. Section 8. The social bond of belief. Belief is not private, it's social. It's the glue that holds tribes together. Religion, ideology, and even fan culture all depend on shared belief. That's why humans developed rituals, flags, songs, and creeds, symbols that keep belief alive through repetition and emotion. It's also why people sometimes do irrational things for the sake of the group. In ancient tribes, unity meant survival. The one who questioned the group too much risked being cast out. And in the wilderness, that meant death. Our ancestors' genes favored loyalty over logic, and we still carry that wiring today. That's why you'll see people defend beliefs that clearly harm them, because at least they're shared. It's better, evolutionarily speaking, to be wrong together than right alone. Section 10. The business of belief. In the modern world, belief is currency. Marketers, politicians, influencers, and algorithms compete for your faith, not your facts. Social media doesn't reward truth, it rewards emotion. The posts that spread fastest aren't the most accurate, but the ones that make us feel the most. Outrage, fear, hope, pride, these are the engines of belief in the digital age. Each time we share a post without checking it, we participate in the new economy of belief, where attention is the product and truth is optional. Section 11. The escape of the belief bubble. Is it possible to escape our own belief systems? Maybe not completely, but we can see them. The first step is awareness. Recognize that your beliefs are not the truth, they're maps of the truth, useful but incomplete. The second step is humility. Say to yourself, I might be wrong. That sentence is not weakness, it's the foundation of wisdom. And the third step is curiosity. Instead of defending what you believe, ask why you believe it. Where did it come from? Who benefits from it? What would it cost to let it go? Curiosity is the enemy of fanaticism and the birthplace of understanding. Section 12. The paradox of truth. Truth, like light, can be blinding. The more we search for it, the more we realize how little we can ever truly know. Maybe the purpose of belief isn't to capture truth perfectly, but to give us something to grow beyond. We need belief to begin the journey, but we need doubt to continue it. Faith without doubt becomes tyranny. Doubt without faith becomes despair. The balance of the two, that's where wisdom lives. So why do humans believe what isn't true? Because truth alone isn't enough. We believe to belong, to feel safe, to make sense of a world too vast for reason alone. But if we can learn to hold our beliefs gently, to question them, to update them, to let them evolve, then belief stops being a prison and becomes a path toward deeper awareness, toward connection, toward understanding. You can't escape belief, but you can become aware of it, and that awareness is freedom. This is Professor Explain 101, where we don't just ask what people think, we ask why.